So my very first ever drug of choice was Dynamatap when I was really young. My older sister was like, hey, this makes life better. And I was like, this does. Then my next escapade when I was 8 years old was huffing gasoline. It moved on from there because gasoline is really not that fun to huff to getting into my mom's opiate pills and her pain medication. When I was in my early 20s, I smoked a bunch of spice. And then I eventually landed on alcohol. Then when I was about 28 years old, I was like, I really wanted to stop drinking. And I was like, I want to get my life together. Just, I want to be happy. I want to be able to, start a family and everything else like that. And try as I might, it wasn't working. Literally, I tried everything, working out. I literally bought a giant TV, the big TV that's right behind you, actually. So I would stay home and play video games instead of drinking. And, that worked for about a month, and still I was drinking and playing video games. I did not have any serious consequences to my drinking. I had some physical consequences, like I was 30 years old and throwing up blood every time I drank at the end. But I never got in trouble with the law. I broke the law once or twice here and there, but I was never caught. And so thankfully for me, I didn't have a bunch of consequences that really messed up my life in a long-term type of way. But that's a big thing for me. It was just like an emotional rock bottom where I was like, I have to stop. I can't keep doing this. I did not have a very good home life growing up. I didn't have any concept of family or people caring for one another. And living here, I was especially lucky because I was kind of in the Golden Girls group, if you will, of the house, because so many of the people who are in the house with me, when I moved in, are still sober now over a year later. And so not only was there the structure, because, Corey does his best to make sure there's structure and he does his best to make sure it's fair, but also I had time to really focus on both, my recovery from substance abuse disorder, but also focus on my mental health, which for me, those two kind of have to go hand in hand for me to be able to recover. I learned a lot about setting boundaries because I have always been a person who strays to the codependent side, and living in a sober house, for me, it helped me learn to be less codependent, where I was still caring about people, but I wasn't trying to save people anymore. And I learned that distinction, and that helped me be able to gain a lot more serenity, where I could still love and care for someone, but without being like, well, I have to save you or else my life is meaningless. So I learned how to be there and listen and show up for people, but without it sucking out my soul, as it were.